Hello and welcome to the in-depth series of Drishti IAS. Mangrove Alliance for Climate has been signed at the backdrop of COP27 in El-Sheikh, Egypt. What is this alliance? What does it want to do for our mangroves? Also, what are mangroves? Status of mangroves around the world and in India? What are threats as well as the different initiatives that have been undertaken? Let us move ahead and first of all talk about the points of discussion from the perspective of GS Mains paper 3rd, that is specifically environment. It is important that we understand this topic. Moving ahead, first of all, let us talk about the Mangrove Alliance for Climate. It has been initiated by United Arab Emirates and Indonesia at the backdrop of COP27. Saying that mangroves are very important to save the coastline area. It is joined by India, Sri Lanka, Australia, Japan and Spain. Also, it wants to educate and spread awareness worldwide about the importance of mangroves, the role of mangroves in curbing global warming and also its potential as a solution for climate change. As we know, in coastline, India is straddled with cyclones. It was also seen that with the presence of mangroves, the damage that could have been done through different cyclones, it was stopped because of mangroves. So, for that, UAE intends to plant 3 million mangroves in the next 2 months as UAE's promise at COP26 of planting 100 million mangroves by 2030 has begun. Moving ahead, now let's talk about mangroves. What are mangroves? Mangrove is a small tree or shrub that grows along the coastline, also sometimes in salty sediments, because its roots are near the coastline. So because of that, its roots sometimes stays below the water in salty sediments. Mangrove as a word, as a term, can also be used to describe habitat as a whole or to the trees and the shrubs in the mangrove swamp. So an entire habitat can be termed as a mangrove. It's a flowering plant and it belongs to the family of Rhizosphoraceae, Acanthaceae, Lythraceae, Combretaceae and Araceae. So these are the different family names. Moving ahead, let's talk about what their features are. They thrive in saline environment, which is very severe type of environment for any plant. Most plants cannot survive there. They work with low oxygen, as roots have to have oxygen for providing proper nutrition to the plants of mangroves. But as the roots are below the water or underwater, they are unable to get as much oxygen. So what happens? Through pneumatophores, which are the root systems having a lot of spores so that they can get oxygen and then transport that oxygen to the roots. Survival in extreme conditions are another feature of the mangroves, because as we see, they work with no oxygen, sometimes low oxygen and below water, underwater as well. They can thrive in hot, muddy and salty conditions. They also have succulent leaves to store water. Succulent leaves are those leaves which are fleshy in nature, such as aloe vera. Also, they are viviparous. The seeds, before germinating, can still be attached to the parent plant, and as they germinate, they spread across the roots at a later stage. So this can also happen. Now let's talk about the significance of mangroves. They are a common feature of tropical and subtropical coastlines. They do not do very well in freezing temperatures. They have a unique capability of growing within the reach of tides in salty soil. They do ecological stabilization, as they are home to many species of the biodiversity. Their presence is important for the biodiversity to thrive. Mangroves help in the stabilization of tides as well. If the homes they are situated near the coastline, if they want to be protected through the tides, they can of course rely on mangroves. They do coastal stabilization as well, the stability of the coastline providing proper nutrients to the fishes Also, they do water purification with the help of their roots. When water tends to go through their roots, the sediments, the garbage is tangled in those roots. It also stores blue carbon, which is very important for the environment. Another thing, it supports biodiversity. For example, in India, we have dolphins, we have Royal Bengal tiger. Now, let's move on and talk about mangroves and the world. Currently, the world has 137 and 760 square kilometers of mangroves in 118 countries as well as territories. But 75% of the area occurs in just about 15 countries. They are most often found straddling the equator between 25° north and south latitude. 42% of the world's mangroves are present in Asia, followed by Africa with 21%, then North and Central America 15%, Australia and the islands of Oceania 12%, and finally South America 11%. Moving forward, Indonesia has 17,000 islands which are rich in mangroves, but nearly a quarter of the world's mangroves are in Indonesia's islands. That is also a threat. There is also a threat to these mangroves because earlier in 1982 there were 4.2 million hectares of mangroves. Now in 2000 it was just 2 million. 70% are in critical condition and seriously damaged. Nearly a fifth of the coast of Australia is edged by mangroves. Australia has the third largest area of mangroves in the world after Indonesia and Brazil. And approximately 6.4% of the world's total mangrove area is in Australia. Now, let's move ahead and talk about mangroves in India. India has a rich system of mangroves from different families such as Avicennia officinalis, Rhizopora micronata, Cineratia alba, Avicennia alba, Brugueria cylindrica, Heritaria litoralis, Phoenix paludosa, Morinda citrifolia, and Seriops tagal. So, if it is asked in your examination, what do these refer to? Remember, these are the family to which mangroves belong. Sundarban, which is located north of Bay of Bengal, is the world's largest single patch, not broken, but single patch of mangrove forest. It is spread over approximately 10,000 square kilometer in Bangladesh and India, 4,992 square kilometer approximately, that is in India we have mangroves. 0.15% of the country's total geographical area is covered by mangroves. Other mangroves also include 𝐕𝐻𝐾𝐒 mangroves, which is in the 𝐕𝐻𝐾𝐒 region of Odisha, and it is also a wetland. It is formed by the delta of river Brahmani and Baitarni. Godavari Krishna mangroves of Andhra Pradesh extend from Odisha to Tamil Nadu. The backwaters in Kerala are rich in mangroves as well as the Pichavaram of Tamil Nadu. Now, with respect to India's State of Forest report, you can see this is the assessment that has been done. We see with respect to total mangroves, Gujarat is having 1,177, but West Bengal total mangroves is of 2,112. So this is available, this graph is available in the Forest Survey of India's ISFR 2021 report. You can check from that also. Now, if we talk about the threats, there are a lot of threats that are posed to mangrove. First is commercialization of coastal areas. Because there is a commercialization of coastal areas through aquaculture, coastal development, tourism, sometimes rice and palm oil farming, industrial activities, it is changing the habitat of mangroves. That is causing a threat to them because their natural stabilization abilities are getting reduced. Because of shrimp farms as well, we see that it is causing a lot of problems to the ecological balance, as it is not very shrimp farming is not native as in not was being practiced since the original times. This is also causing a problem. Because of that, we also have temperature related issues. As huge commercialization takes place and generally global warming has increased the surface water temperatures, it is causing an issue for the roots. Soil related issues are also happening because of the dumping of garbage, because of the waste production, and the waste that the roots are filtering is infiltrating the soil profile. Excessive human intervention is always bad for any ecology, but a sensitively active zone such as Sundarban is getting much more harmed. Now, there are certain initiatives. UNESCO has designated various sites as heritage sites. Not only heritage, but Ramsar sites are also listing certain such mangrove forests, such as Bhitarkanika as well. So because of that, more attention is being given to them. International Society for Mangrove Ecosystem is also working in the same direction. Blue Carbon Initiative is also, your homework is go and do read these particular points, because if I go into the detail of each and everything, it will go on to 30 minutes, but we do not have that amount of time. Blue Carbon Initiative wants to work in order to secure the blue economy, the oceanic and seawater economy, working in order to conserve mangroves. International Day for the Conservation of the Mangrove Ecosystem is celebrated every year on dash. You have to fill in the dash and tell me in the comment segment, so that people get aware of the importance and significance of mangroves. Mangroves for Future Initiative, which is comprising of countries like Bangladesh, Cambodia, India, Indonesia, Maldives, Myanmar, Pakistan, Seychelles, Sri Lanka, Thailand and Vietnam, which these countries are rich in mangrove diversity. So these countries have joined a coalition in order to work in the direction to save such mangroves. National Mangrove Committee, which has been formulated by India in order to conserve the mangroves of India, is also an initiative that has been undertaken by India. So you can list these initiatives, read in brief about them, and then write in your mains exam paper. Now let's move on towards our question. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding mangroves? They can survive in high temperature area. Mangroves can be found in Gujarat. So you have to tell me in the comment segment which of these options is correct. Thank you so much for watching and stay updated.